Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Ask the Pros Business, where we speak to business owners, entrepreneurs. They come on the show to share their journey and their story. And on this particular episode, I've got Curtis here. Curtis is from all the way from the States, LA to be precise. He started his entrepreneurial career, in the medical field, as a student nurse. But Curtis is now he now has his own software company. He builds, tech stuff and AI and all that. He's into all that. So Curtis will tell us how he got into that environment. So I spoke to Curtis before this interview, and he has a lot of great stories to share, and a lot of strategies to help your businesses as well. And Curtis on this show, we always start from the beginning, which means telling us how the journey started for you. For you, how did this all begin for you?
Sure. Thanks for having me.
No worries.
It started about 8 years ago when an opportunity came, out of nowhere. I was, like you said, I was a nursing assistant in a hospital. I was bathing patients. I was cleaning them up when they made messes. I was making sure they were taken care of because they couldn't take care of themselves. And one day, a doctor came onto the unit and he was in a really bad mood. He started complaining about a review he just got. And I was kind of in a bad mood too, because, I owed lots of money in student loans. So I started complaining too. I was like, oh yeah, I got like 35 grand in student debt, and he's like, oh, if you could get this review removed, I'd pay off your student loans. I was like, but doctor, like I owe 30 plus grand. And he said, I've probably lost 150 grand this week alone from this bad review. I run a private practice. My surgeries are 10 grand plus, and I've lost 15 consults that I can count so far to this fake review. And I was like, are you serious? He's like, yeah, I'm serious. And so anyway, I went home, I talked to my mom about it. My mom worked at the hospital too. And she's like, yeah, this doctor's a pretty stand-up guy. He's probably serious. I'm like, okay, great. Well, I knew nothing about contracts, about business. I knew nothing about that. I was just a kid with a problem to solve. And so the next day, I called the doctor's office back. I talked to the secretary and confirmed that he was serious, and I was like, okay, that's all I need. I'm on. And I spent the next 48 hours diving into how to do this, right? How to get this review removed. Just hit dead end after dead end. I couldn't, it wasn't happening. I was just getting no's. We're not going to do it. At the time I had about $800 in my bank account, as most 21, 22-year-olds do at the time. And anyway, I spent half of it on a plane ticket to San Francisco. I decided to stake out the company and find an employee who could help me, because I knew if this review is fake, if this review is illegitimate, there has to be something you could do about it, right? So anyway, I did. I flew to San Francisco and I staked out this company. I literally would stand out in front of the building and I'd ask each person walking in and out of that building, excuse me, do you work at this company? I don't need any money. No. I just want, I'm not crazy. I have a doctor in Los Angeles who needs a bad review removed. Like, can you help me? And I did that for 3 days. I met hundreds of people. Someone who worked at the company couldn't help me. Finally, I met someone who's like, yeah, like I know what to do. I'll help you, and they walked me to a local Starbucks and we sat down for about 15 minutes and I had my pen and paper. I was taking notes on everything that she said. And she walked me through step by step on what I needed to do in order to communicate effectively with the administrators at this site. And 48 hours later, I had a check for $32,000. And
wow.
I was like, wait a second, I can solve a problem that's so valuable for doctors and for business owners. Anyway, this doctor was on the board of directors for the entire physician network. He introduced me to a CPA and referred me into about 680 doctors at this network. So before I know it, I had a reputation practice. He told me how much to charge. He got me set up. He was like a mentor, in business.
Yeah.
And one physician network turned into like 5 or 6 over the next few years. And then we started, expanding into other industries. I was too busy. Like I couldn't handle all of the reviews I had to manage. I kept hearing about AI and artificial intelligence and how it's going to replace our jobs, right? And it's like, you know what? If anyone's going to replace my job, it's going to be me. So I went back to school. I learned how to code. and I learned how to train a computer server to look at reviews the same way I do, to communicate with administrators the same way that I do, so that the fulfillment could be done by software. And that's exactly what we did. We built Objection Co. So I trained our software to identify and dispute illegitimate reviews, removable reviews, based on my experience, my many years of experience in doing this, as a service for businesses. And now I get to focus on business growth, while my computers from multiple servers now get to focus on fulfillment and automating this as a process so that I can grow at scale. And now we're growing, and I decided to go back to school again to get into machine learning and AI, because what I realized is that a majority of reviews online aren't impacting business owners negatively. Like, don't get me wrong, there's plenty of fake and illegitimate reviews written by people for a bunch of reasons that negatively impact businesses. But getting into the computer science and kind of the back end of what's really going on in our marketplace, I realized that most fake reviews are actually negatively impacting consumers. That a majority of fake reviews are positive 5-star reviews to trick you, to fool you, to build this false assurance about this company. So we started working on that, because I was like, I'm not solving that problem. How am I going to solve that problem? Because I like solving problems, and I have money, and I have research and development teams, right? And I have employees. And so we took on that challenge. It took us about 1.5 years of lots of research, but we came out with the product now to detect businesses with fake reviews for consumers, to help consumers make better spending decisions, to protect them from scams. And we started our first initial engagement with the Federal Trade Commission, which is a government branch here in the USA that we're super proud of. But yeah, that's a little bit about my story. And
nice,
yeah.
Curtis, man. It's been a journey, man. What a journey for you. But to simplify, what your story just told now, I would say it's just all about not giving up, because you would have easily just said, I've called everybody, I've researched this, I can't get this done, let me just leave it, And if you had done that, there goes your dreams, there goes your business, So, when I speak to entrepreneurs and business, people like you that come on the show, there's always this connect, between all of you that come on the show. It's all about the persistence and not giving up. You have to be able to push and push and push, And I always use myself as an example, because that is only what I've got, that's all I have right now, And starting this podcast, there was always a procrastination, always a thing of, you can't speak where you stutter, how are you going to speak to people, how are you going to hold the conversation. There's always this thing, going on, and I made it upon myself. I just took it upon myself, I'm going to start this anyway, regardless how it goes. Let me just, go for it, and I went for it. And now, I'm here speaking to Curtis, and Curtis is doing an amazing job. He has a great company, and it's just all about not giving up, and it's so encouraging, and it's so funny, because if I hadn't done this, I'll probably regret it, because now I have a whole lot of network and connections, and now as I'm speaking to you, just imagine I have someone that probably wants to build an AI company on reviews, and probably looking for a solution on how to go about it. I'll say, yeah, I spoke to Curtis. Curtis can help you. Who is that? Don't worry, I'll definitely hook you up. So that's how it goes. But my question to you, in terms of your review company, how do you like I know what you said about 5-star reviews. Like if I go on Amazon, if I want to buy a product, all I do is I'll just go to the review section and say, 5-star, this product is nice, man, and I'll just buy it. It might be misleading, I don't know. But for you, you've done this now. How do you pick those fake reviews? Because like you said, it's misleading the customers, and you want to get rid of that, So how do you figure that out?
That's a good, that's a great question. When it comes to Amazon, like you got to realize most products on Amazon are drop shipped, and a lot of people don't even know what drop shipped means. But what it means is that these products are made in China at scale, right? They normally replicate an existing high quality product that's made somewhere in, like, somewhere more locally, closer to the target market. The target market being like Europe and USA. They'll duplicate. They'll take the intellectual property, they'll replicate it quickly, and then they'll put it on a site called Alibaba, right? And so what I like to do is, if I'm about to buy something on Amazon, I'll look for it on Alibaba. So that's like essentially the place where they get it from, and then sell it on Amazon. And I know if it's on Alibaba, the quality is not going to be nearly as good as if I buy it from a manufacturer who is here, who goes by normal regulations and has, like product insurance, right? And other like quality testing, especially like when you buy electronics. Like, electronics can catch on fire. Like, if you buy low quality electronics, bad things can happen. So for me, as a result, like I know kind of where to look. So if I'm about to buy something on Amazon, I'll take the search to Alibaba, and if I find the product in Alibaba, which is where they make it, then I won't buy that product, because I know it's just a drop shipped product from China. Looking at the reviews, if they're too good to be true, they are. If it looks and quacks like a duck, it is a duck, right? So you look for products like with a 4-star rating. A 4-star rating is good. Like, most people are like, oh, it's 4-star, but it's like, look, that's a real rating. Like, they're not trying to fool you. They're proud of their 4-star. They're not purchasing fake reviews. And that, like, I would rather buy a more real product that actually has negative feedback, that I see that they're responding to, that I see that they're saying, hey, like, call us, like, we want to take care of this. Like, like, for example, you see a lot of these, like iRobot, for example, is a good example. It's the little vacuum on the floor, right? That automatically goes around.
Yeah, I've seen them around. Yeah.
Yeah, right. So their reviews are not perfect online. They've got maybe a 4-star rating on Amazon, and they've got like 10,000 reviews. Could they afford to purchase fake reviews? Absolutely. But I don't think that they do. I think they do a really good job just getting their customers to leave feedback, and then taking care of the customers that come back. Because when I was looking for a vacuum that could vacuum our floors, like at night, or in the afternoon when no one's home, I was reading the bad reviews, and I was like, wow, so if this thing breaks, they'll replace it like for free, like when they're when I was looking to see how their customer service team took care of like a bad sale. Because if I'm going to spend $700 on a robot vacuum, I want to make sure, like, if something happens, they're going to take care of me, right? So I look for customer service responses personally, because if I see good customer service, then I know that I'm getting involved with a company who cares, and that's where I want to spend my money.
Yeah, absolutely, man. What you're doing is amazing. It's amazing, and it's also difficult as well. In saying that, what would you say has been the most difficult thing? Probably one of the most difficult thing you faced, building this company and this brand.
Yeah, in my industry, in online reputation, there's a bad stigma, because a lot of other people have been making promises and not delivering on it, right? Like reaching out to businesses, making these crazy promises, ripping them off, disappearing, providing black hat services. Like, there's white hat, gray hat, and black hat. White hat is like everything's on the up and up and it's good. Gray hat's somewhere in the middle, and then black hat's like you're doing illegal stuff to get results. There's been a lot of bad actors in my industry, in the online reputation space. So one of the challenges that we've had is we have to prove that we are white hat, to prove that, we're not one of those bad actors. We do that by showcasing, case studies. We have lots of video testimonials on our site. We have good reviews and stuff, but it's still hard to prove that we're not we're a good apple in a hive of bad apples, so to speak, right? So that's been a challenge for us, is making sure that they understand we stand in the light, and that our tech is it's all white hat stuff.
Yeah, because what you do, your job is very, it's a very key thing when it comes to society, because because you don't want to, like you said a couple of minutes ago, it's all about not misleading consumers, and it's key. And it's like it's like stealing. You want to steal from somebody. You know, so it's about, I think for me it's about playing the cop, the cop and the robber. You understand? And what you do as well, people can okay, what you do as well, people can say, how do we know these companies don't pay him to do all this? You also have that going around you as well, and it's a very tough, environment, which I know, but for what you do, and I know other companies do this as well, what makes you different? What sets you apart?
Yeah, what sets us apart is, I think our approach, the way that we approach the problem. So the problem being, you got an illegitimate review for your business and you can't seem to get anything done about it. Previously, I would, as a consultant, take the time to put everything together and then work with the administrators, and I would charge you thousands, right? As a consultant, because it's my time. I'm spending a lot of time doing this for you, right? I would charge a lot of money as a consultant. Now we use software to accomplish the exact same thing, and so you go from thousands to $200, right? So the price point is much different than our competitors. Like, we have a lot of consultant competitors who do this, right? There's lots of reputation consultants who can very successfully remove, negative reviews, but they charge thousands of dollars. Our software just charges, a few $100s. And so that's, I think, really what is makes us stand out, is our pricing is 10 times lower, and we use software versus, a human manual approach. We use an army of robots, so to speak, versus, a really expensive guy in a tie.
Yeah. Nice. It's a very nice one as well. And this brings my next question, which is like, how you brand the company when it comes to your business name. Because from speaking to different entrepreneurs and business guys as well, and people that want to go into business as well, there's always this thing of, how to start a company is one, your business name is another, branding is another issue as well. So for you that have gone through these processes, you've done this and you're doing an amazing job. I can see that already. What would you say to someone that wants to go into business? Like, how do I start this? From someone that is on it already. How do I start this?
Yeah, I remember when, our consulting practice had a different name entirely. It was just like a group, right? And it wasn't relevant to the service we were offering, like as far as like a keyword perspective, or just a logical, like, oh, this sounds like what I do. So for us, I came up with Objection.co, or Objection Company, because I liked the word object, right? Because at the end of the day, you're a business owner, you got an illegitimate review. What's the first thing internally, like, you have to do, like, from a decision-making process, in order to need my product? You need to object to this review, right? Like, there's something about this review that's not right, that you just like, that you don't agree with, and you want to fight it, right? So we try to align our brand to the first step in the decision-making process of someone who might be a potential buyer, right? So that's how we came. Like, we went through these ideation phases of brands and stuff, and that's how we kind of landed on it. But for people who are thinking of starting their own companies and starting their own branding journeys, it starts with a problem. Like, you need to solve a problem. Like, restaurants solve hunger, right? Someone's hungry, they solve that problem. I happen to solve a problem with a very specific niche and online reputation, but there's there's a billion problems out there to solve. There's so many problems you can solve. After you figured out the problem you want to solve, then you get to build your branding based off of that, and creating relevance to it, making sure it's understandable, that you align, like, you use positioning statements, and that you can make sure you align really well with your customers. You can make them feel understood, right? You can make your ideal customer feel like you get them, you understand the position that they're in, and that's why your product or your service is such a good fit for their pain, and that you're really going to address and take care of them. So once you start doing that, you got to build case studies, right? You got to showcase your success. Other people want to see why hire you. Like what makes you stand out? It's like, well, I did this, and that for so and so. That's one of the biggest reasons we have our video testimonials front and center on our site, because those video testimonials convert a lot of customers. It's like, well, don't take my word for it. Listen to my customers. Listen and hear what they had to say about our business, right? I think trying to make the transaction as risk-free as possible for your customer is important, and staying competitive, which is why we offer a free trial. Now, a lot of products and services you can't, right? But you can always guarantee customer satisfaction. I think you should, to be honest. I think businesses should guarantee customer satisfaction, and try and de-risk the thing, because the only reason someone's going to want their money back is if you set up the wrong expectations, right? If you set up expectations that are sky high and you don't meet them, of course they're going to want their money back. But if you set your expectations a bit lower and guarantee customer satisfaction, you should be able to blow away those expectations and be able to keep the revenues that you've created as a result of your deliverables. So I think that's super important.
Yeah, absolutely nice. Yeah. But what for the people that say, oh, Curtis, it sounds so easy and good, because because you've done it, things are going well for you. What about me? I haven't got, like, maybe I'm a 9-to-5 guy, and also I'm also keen on doing this as well. How do I go about it? It's so easy for you to say, because people are people are different. They say, oh, it's easy for him to say because he's any big money already anyway. But for me, there's a little guy here looking at him, how do I start little then? How do I do this?
Yeah, keep your day job, in my opinion, until you slowly, like, don't just decide to quit your job one day and go all in on this new business idea of yours. Well, some people do that, and some people are wildly successful. They're an exception. Like that doesn't, like, that's rare. And I don't want to say you're not rare, but I think it's important to take this more intelligently and more realistically. You're going to know pretty quickly after launching a product or service what the demand looks like because of outreach. In the very first few days of my business, I personally took the time to cold call businesses and explain like what I offered. And I knew right away what the response was. Like, a lot of people were like, no, not interested. But then I started running into people that were interested, right? So you got to test it. Like, you got to test what is the response to people who I've identified as a potential customer. You've got to build up the revenues until you can cover your existing bills. Like, if one of the biggest reasons why businesses fail is because you don't reinvest the revenues back into your business. If you're reinvesting that revenue back into your rent that you need to pay, right, or into groceries and other bills and other like activities of life, that you're already at a disadvantage, because you don't get to reinvest that money into your marketing or into your sales team. You're sinking it into your life, and that's not bad. Like, I get it. You got to pay the bills. But that's why you should keep your day job. You should keep your day job to pay off those bills. And that way you use your side hustle money to reinvest into your side hustle until you can successfully transition out of it and then make your side hustle your full-time hustle. And by then, hopefully you're at 10K MRR. MRR is monthly reoccurring revenue. I think that's a good starting point for thinking about walking away from your full-time job. When you've hit, your stride and about 10,000 monthly reoccurring, then it's like, okay, like, I'm doing something right? And you can start to afford other people to start taking a look at your business to help you scale. So that's my advice. Stay with your day job and make it your side hustle until you can transition into your full-time hustle.
Yeah, and of course you have to create that customer experience as well, and I know you're doing some of that as well, in terms of creating that, and getting the customer satisfied, as a business, what is your take on looking after the customer, making sure that the experience is what the product, what is.
Yeah, just to clarify, you said what do we do to make sure the customers see value in our product? Like
Yes,
they
yes.
understand about? Okay.
Yep.
Yes. Yeah. So we use research. We use a lot of research and we use a lot of data to show how our results provide value for our customers. So for example, when we onboard a customer, we take baseline assessments, like where they are now before we got involved, right? That way we can document what their journey looks like after they get involved with us, because our KPIs, like our North Star metrics, have to do with their online reputation, things that we can measure, like including their star rating, right? Because those are things that I can measure. Is did they go from a 3.5 to a 4 to a 4.5? And if they did, what are the financial implications of that increase in star rating? And that's certainly something that we take a look into. Universities like Stanford and Harvard have published research that say for every star rating your company gets an increase in, you can translate that into 10 to 20% increase in annual revenue, right? So when we're reporting our results to our customers, we are very sure to include that research that suggests that they should see, a 10 to 20% increase in revenue. And then we ask them, they're like, hey, how are your sales going? Like, do you notice a difference? And we always hear yes. It's always a yes for us, right? So that's certainly one of the biggest ways we explain the value. Another way that we go about explaining the value is by making a comparison. So in our review removal example, I ask I'll ask a business owner, like, hey, like if you without actually giving money to your customer, like, would you pay them like $20 to write you a legitimate review for your business? Like if it were like a good, like a thing, like if you were going to reward your customers with like a $20 gift card, like, would you? We don't suggest it. I just ask them, like, out of curiosity. 9 out of 10 times they'll say, absolutely, I would pay $100, if my customer would write like a legitimate experience, about their business, just because it's hard to get customers to write reviews for businesses. So I go, okay, I hear what you're saying. Now I don't suggest that because it's against the terms of service on a lot of review sites. I'm not suggesting that. What I'm asking is because if we remove just one review, just one, it's the same as getting 11 good reviews in the impacts on your star rating, right? In the value, in terms of value. So what you're really telling me, Curtis, is that you would pay me anywhere from $200 to $2,000 per bad review that I removed. And I asked them, is that true? And they'll be like, yeah, I never thought of it that way. You're absolutely right. And then we can go and either close the prospect on that, or we can explain that to existing customers and say, hey, look, we removed 3 reviews. I understand you might not see that as a lot of value, and it hasn't really changed your star rating. But look, like, that's the same as getting 33 reviews. Would you have paid this for getting 30? Yeah, yes, we would have. And it's like, okay, I hope you see the value now that this had. And it's like, it turns them around 360. Absolutely. So you got to find research. You got to find comparisons, ways that you can tie in and compare your solution or your value and in other ways. Like, that's not super direct. You might have to go a little bit of a roundabout, and that's okay, because people understand comparisons. They understand metaphors. They understand, that, and you need to do what you can to get them to see the value. Otherwise, they're going to churn. They're going to go somewhere else. They're going to find someone else who does a better job explaining their value, right? So.
Yeah, absolutely, Curtis, man, absolutely. Because talking about reviews, and because I can recall my experience shopping on eBay. eBay, and there has been a couple of times where the customer service isn't great, and I will email the seller and I said, you've sold me this product, and I don't like the product, and I want to return this product. Now I've gone to the post office. They said to me the return slip is kind of like lower. I need to pay more. Now I've paid more to return this product to you, and you're telling me I have to bear the cost. And the next thing I'll say, okay, fine, I'll bear the cost, but if you want me to review this product, definitely I'm going to say the truth. you know, because your customer service needs to be better. It needs to be, you know, you guys can't just, you know, leave your customer hanging. You know, so when I go there, when I see that, you know, I notice that, you know, review is king here. You know, review have review is becoming is becoming a very, very expensive thing right now in terms of customer satisfaction and sales as well. It is, and you're in a very good position for that. You know, now when it comes to sales, you know, like we talked about sales, you know, how to get your leads and your customers as well. You know, as a sales guy, you know, when your prospects, you know, tells you no, or I don't want this, you know, do you just give up, or the other things you say as well?
So like managing the objections, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So we go into our sales demos and into our cold calls with a large, like, you know, with a sheet ready to go. So that we call it the objections sheet. So the objection sheet has like our usual suspects. It's like, who are you? Why are you calling? Right? Why should I talk to you? Or why, like, you know, the basic ones that you get to at first. It's like, why are you calling me? Right? That's probably the most common objection. It's like, why are you like, why are you wasting my time? You know, and we try and explain why we're not trying to waste their time. So we try and listen to what they're saying. Like, who are you? What does who are you like really mean? Like, sure, they want to know who you are, but they want to know what's the intention of this call. So we try and understand what they're really getting at, so that we can kind of get to the chase, so that they can either make the decision of getting us to the right person, listening to what we have to say, or getting us off the phone. Because if they're not going to get, you know, they're not going to talk, it's okay. Like, we've got a million other people to call. But we try and come prepared, so to speak, right? We try and come ready. And then in the sales demos, like when we start asking questions that require like a yes or no answer, or a like a specific, like, so like, for example, we love to ask the question, when did you want to get started? Right? It's not if you want to get started. It's like, when do you want to get started?
Mhm.
Well, I'm not quite ready to get started today. Right, or, you know, I'm not ready to like think about getting started yet. I'm still learning more about you, right? Or I'm not ready to get started just because I'm not sure if this is a good fit for me, right? So no matter what those answers are, we have something ready to go specifically for that response. Why? Because we record all of our calls. We know exactly what the most common ones are. So when they say those things, we have answers ready to go, so that we can answer those, we overcome those objections, and then get them into, for us, it's just a free trial. So for us, it's easy to get people into free trials. But other people have other next steps, which are a bit harder than free trials, that really require more work when it comes to the ask. Like, how big is your ask? Is your ask, you know, going into the next stage, enormous? Like, I'm asking you for a $10,000 check, or am I asking you for an email address right now? Right? So depending on what the ask is, you got to really come prepared to overcome objections.
Wow, absolutely. You know, but in the course of building your company, you know, and the brand as well, you know, looking back, you know, how you started, would you have changed anything?
Of course, yeah. I mean, I learned stuff. I've learned stuff today, this morning, in a clubhouse room, that I'm excited to change some of the way I do something. So, I mean, companies should be fluid, right? You should be adapting quickly to change, because change is happening all around you. And if you're not evolving your company, if you're not changing the way people do business, you know, someone else is gonna do a better job than you, because technology is evolving, businesses are evolving, expectations are evolving. And in order to, you know, create an ecosystem that supports all these changes, if you're not changing yourself, then, you know, you're going to be left in the dust.
Absolutely, Curtis. Absolutely, man. Because there's a new kid just outside the block waiting to take your spot, man. There's always someone new out there willing to just take the food out of you, man.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah. Definitely, man. It's been a wonderful conversation so far, you know. But in terms of work-life balance, motivation, you know, inspiration, you know, what's, to do more, and to be creative as well, what would you say is that thing, that inspires you to do more and to be more creative as well? Because you're in a very creative environment, because software building or AI, it's a very creative thing, so what inspires you to be more creative?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think focusing on there's a certain way of going about things in software called product-led growth. So that means like growing based off of your product, and it's a very common phrase in software in the software industry. And what it is it's an idea that your product is leading the growth, right? So your product should be evolving towards the utility of your customer. So learning how can your product be more useful for your customer? How can your product provide more value for customers? Or if you're adding another product, right, to the software that does something else that's valuable for them. So for us, we're being really mindful and intentional on our customer and the value that they get from it, making sure that we focus on doing lots of little things. Like big things are important too, but you'd be surprising how important the little things are that you can do quickly to really improve the perceived value of what you do, right? Just lots of little things really start to add up over time. And I think just by staying like super focused on your customer, and I think for us has really helped us stay on top of our research and development and our pipeline for upcoming updates and products.
Absolutely, man. And I guess building the right relationships, and also being relatable as well is one of the key points as well.
Relate, yeah. You gotta have empathy for your customers. You gotta understand what they're going through, what they're in, and their needs. And understanding those needs is gonna help you get creative on how to solve that need, right? How to take care of them better. And then all the communication and training and that goes on top of that.
Yeah, nice one, Curtis, man. It's been really great, But if you want to leave, listeners or viewers, one thing, and people that want to go into business as well, and people that want to improve their business strategies, and steps to take as well, what would you want to leave the audience with today?
I would tell them to worry less in the beginning about growth. Don't worry so much on like your next customer. Worry on your existing customers. Take better care of your existing. Take the best care. Like if you had to think of how you're going to spend all your time, spend most of your time taking care of your existing customers and making sure they have an amazing experience. Don't like if you have to drop the ball on a new lead, drop the ball on the new lead, not your existing customer who's paid for something. Because a lot of people are so focused on growth, they neglect their customers and they don't do a good job taking care of their existing customers. That's a grave mistake in my opinion. It's the worst mistake. Focus on your customers, take care of them, and let them do the marketing for you in the beginning, and you'll grow as fast as you need to from there.
Absolutely, Curtis, man. Love that, man. Nice one. If guys want to get in touch with you, Curtis, man, where is the best place for them to get in touch with you?
Yeah, it's our website, objection.co. Be happy to chat with anyone who wants to talk about entrepreneurship or reviews or fake reviews. Any issues on those topics, we love engaging in dialogue. And it was certainly a pleasure engaging with you too and being on your podcast today.
Nice one, Curtis, man. And I want to say a big thank you to you, for, I know now time is always a precious thing right now. Everybody has so much going on based on the pandemic, COVID and what's happening, but you also gave me your time, which is great, and I'm grateful for the time as well, and, and guys, if you want to get in touch with us, we Ask the Pros, across social media, Instagram, we are there, Facebook, we are there. YouTube, we are there as well. It's been a pleasure having this chat with you, Curtis. Nice one, yeah. I appreciate it.
Yeah, likewise. Take care.